Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Raising Strong-Willed Kids Summit. My name's Andrea Milioti, and I am your host today. And today's guest is Naomi Aldort, and she is an author of Raising Our Children, Raising Ourselves, which published in 19 languages. And Naomi guides parents on the phone and Skype sessions and workshops internationally. Her guidance is not about gentle ways to control a child, but about how to have peace without being to control. It is about a way of being and understanding children so that they can do their best, not because they fear us or seek our approval, but because they want to on their own free will. Naomi Aldort brings peace and clarity to difficult situations, as well as ordinary parenting issues, including marriage, pregnancy, birth, baby care, toddlers, children, teens, adult kids, and relatives. She also guides families about diet and lifestyle that promotes emotional and physical well-being and impacts a child's behavior. From attachment parenting to optimal learning, siblings, aggression, sleep tantrums, teens, marriage, education, choices, and more. Naomi works holistically toward a peaceful and powerful parent-child relationship. So without further ado, I'm going to let Naomi, welcome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Why, give us, tell us a little bit about what got you into doing what you're doing.
Oh, that's a long story. I'll try to make it short.
All right, like a brief little, exactly.
I was a piano teacher.
Okay.
And, which was kind of my destiny from the beginning. I'm a pianist and a singer, and I used to have lots of children students, mostly children. And over and over again, the parents said that the children are getting therapy out of the session, the piano lessons. And then they asked me to give them sessions. And I said, well, I'm not a therapist, but we can try it for a few sessions. So, and then I had this family who came with their daughter, and they said after 7 years of psychotherapy that didn't help her child, in few sessions, I resolved all the problems that the 7 years didn't resolve. So I thought, gee, maybe I have some talent, and friends would bring me their families and say, here, they would tell their friends, Naomi is somehow doing this and that, and it really helps people. Talk to her. So it was kind of non-professional. And then once I had kids, I started writing articles, and they were published in Mothering Magazine, which was the biggest one at the time for progressive ideas of parenting. And in other magazines worldwide. I'm still publishing and have advice columns in lots of magazines, and I public speak, etc. And that kind of, then they brought me to speak, and then more people started calling me. One of them called me in the beginning, and I didn't even charge her. And after a few times she called, she said, you should charge me for talking to me. So now the sessions are on Zoom and Skype, mostly, not so much by phone anymore. Yeah, so that's how I work. And I still play the piano and teach the piano too, and teach parents.
Okay, so you still do the piano. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I teach parents also how to nurture musical talent and other talents. And so kind of expanded to include everything. But
they kind of go hand in hand. They really do. They go hand in hand.
Yes.
I think that's really nice. Oh, awesome. That's great. Well, let's see. You talk often about children who behave well on their own free will. Can you explain how that works?
Well, let me tell you how it doesn't work to explain how it works.
Okay.
In the normal parenting paradigm, the parent is a boss
Hmm.
and the child has to do what they're told. And that
Right.
creates, or the parent is the police and the child, has to obey,
Right.
forbidden or punished, or you should do this or you should do that now. And children are human beings just like adults. They don't want to be told what to do.
Hmm.
Have an inner call, and it's a good thing, because we want them to be rooted in themselves and not to
Right.
become obedient and follow gangs or peers or all kinds of bad influences in the media or whatever. We want them
Right.
to stay rooted in themselves. So the other side of it, so when we boss them around and tell them what to do, then they're not going to do it off their own free will, because now they sense a sense of war with us, like we're the police. They will want to somehow defy us. So we're training them to defy us when we control them in a bossy way. And so I teach to be leaders rather than controllers, to not dominate the child, but a good leader creates the space that works for the other person so that they operate and they're from their own free will in a good way because they want to. And the main feeling the child then has is of being included and an equal. Doesn't mean they are the same. They may not have yet the same skills or abilities or knowledge, but where they are is respected. So let's take an example. Let's say you're taking a young child to a restaurant. You respect them, and then they would respect what happens in the restaurant. And the way you respect them is you don't take them to a restaurant after they sat in it for an hour and a half in a car. So driving, and after being sitting and restricted and not being able to make much noise and movement, and
That's
then
true.
putting them in a restaurant where
Hmm.
again they have to sit and be restricted, that's not respectful to the child.
Exactly.
If you
I
want to
agree
go
with
to
them.
the, if you drove for a while and you want to go to a restaurant, you go to a playground first, or you
Hmm.
go to a restaurant that has a playground. You ask a child what they want to eat. You decide together which restaurant, one that's child friendly, that has an outdoor perhaps, so you can place your order and then go outside rather than wait sitting inside. So there are very many ways. My children always behaved fantastic in restaurants. And people would come to me, it became a joke because they would come every single time and say, what do you do that they behave so well? And I say nothing. They think maybe I threatened them or something. I said, I don't do anything. It's just they have a choice. They're included in deciding which restaurant we go to, if we go to a restaurant, or rather buy some food and go to the park to eat it, take it to go, or buy in a supermarket. So they're included in the decision making. Of course,
Which
if
is
they're 2 years old, no, but then you take them into account. You know what a 2 years old can do. So
right.
maybe you don't go to the restaurant if he needs to move a lot, if the child isn't, or you take them and do a lot of movement. So you bring them to the restaurant when they're ready to sit and when they're hungry. And when there is food in that restaurant, they're gonna love. So that's just an
Exactly.
example. And then don't talk for them, because
Right.
that also establishes that you're above somehow. So if you
Hmm.
interact with other human people and they talk to your child, don't answer for the child if they don't answer. I had
Exactly.
one of my children never answered what how old you are, what do you study, or anything like that. And I
Hmm.
and I would say to the adult who is doing this questioning, I say, I don't think he wants to talk to you. You can talk to me if you want. And then often they would talk to me and ask about the child. And I tell them, well, I'll have to ask his permission to answer your questions. He didn't answer them, so I'm not sure he wants me to answer them. And then I would ask my child, can I tell this gentleman about you, your age, whatever he's asking? And Most of the time, my kids said yes. They didn't care. They just didn't want
Right.
to be the one talking. But sometimes
Right.
they would say no. And I would totally respect that and say to the person, well, you can ask me about me because he doesn't like to be talking about him. So, taking in account their limitations. For a toddler, it means baby proofing the house and not putting zillions of items that you have to say no to. For a teenager, it means understanding what their social needs are and enabling it, making the possibility work for them, not being the enemy and the limiting. It also means validating their feelings and knowing that when a child, so to speak, misbehaves or is
Mm.
defiant, they have a valid reason, something going on inside that has to be addressed. So instead of just say you can't do that or punishment now, you can just find out, gee, what's going on for this child? They're very, very frustrated. You validate the feeling. You say, I see you're very frustrated. Tell me more about it, even if they tell you I hate you. I always, my clients say that there is Naomi's magic words. In the normal paradigm, the magic words is bossing children around and telling them say
Mm.
please, say thank you, ask this, apologize. Naomi's magic words is tell me more about it. I hate you, mom. Tell me more about it. What do you hate the most? Oh, I can see that. What do you advise I should do next time?
So it's,
Like being open and modeling to them what
mm,
to learn, feeling connected. So, or if they're
mm,
hurting, or they're having a tantrum, to validate their feelings if they want to. Sometimes they want to be left alone. But validating, you really wanted that ice cream and they closed the store and we were not buying any, or you wanted to stay in the swimming pool a lot longer and they closed and we had to leave, or your friend won't play with you. I understand. Rather than go and fix it and tell the friend to play with him, if a child comes to me and says they're not playing with me, they told me to leave, I say, well, I'll be with you. Would you like to tell me what you like to do, or how you feel about what happened? Or you connect with them, you validate their feelings. You must be upset, this and that happened, and listen to them. Take them seriously, like you would a revered adult guest. Take them seriously. They're people. Okay.
makes
One
a lot of
way
sense.
to know how to do it, by the way, is to think of the child as an adult. Yeah, adult maybe with limitations,
Right.
abilities, like, no, they don't understand this yet, or they
Right.
don't understand yet respecting other people. They're very self-centered. They need this now, or they can't handle too much sitting, or they can't handle being told, no, you can't touch anything. We need to, house proof, or we need to respect their need to move around and do physical things. What can we do? We can't just be in the apartment. We may need to go out or build something in the yard. So that's when we treat children with that kind of respect, they
Mm.
see us as our allies and they want to cooperate with us of their own free will, because they never feel that we're forcing something that goes against them. We're on their side. We
That's
are
great.
in public. I always say to parents, you are your child's lawyer.
Mm.
So if they have a problem with another child or with another adult, you represent them. So the
Mm.
child comes back from school and say, the teacher scolded me or did this and that. You don't right away say to them, well, what did you do wrong?
Right.
You say,
Yeah.
how did you feel about it? What did you need that the teacher didn't see? And maybe you go talk to the teacher on the child's behalf or help the child do that, depends on their age, to make sure and not just automatically side with the teacher against the child. Or sometimes non-verbally, people immediately side with the other person. Let's say again in a restaurant, my firstborn, when he was 2 years old, for a few years, he wouldn't want to eat in a restaurant, but to go talk to people. He's 35 now, but he's a leader. You know, he talks, he public speaks, you know, he's a leader person and he's people person. So he would go from table to table, and sometimes it was a couple romantic
Well,
evening.
that's what it was. It was the leader coming out. It
Yes,
was the leader coming out. That's why he was like that.
but people would think that I should pull him away when I see that he's a disturbing a romantic evening, a couple
Right.
trying to get to know each other, or a family gather where they have an important discussion. And I
Right.
never did that. I let the child feel that I respect his choice and that the adults will stand for their rights. If they can't say to a 2 years old, we're busy here, go to the next table, then, you know, then they should take sessions with me about their
Mhm.
own self-esteem, right? And
Exactly. I mean, I think that's great. I mean, I love that just because it's treating them, it's giving them because they're little people too, and it's treating them with that respect.
exactly. And I would tell people if they were close to me and I saw them being shy, I sometimes would say to the adults, don't hesitate to tell him it's time to go. They were, of course, very enchanted by him. He gave them whole lectures about dinosaurs, and he was extremely cute and beautiful child.
Uh,
He had those blonde curly hair and blue eyes. It looked like kind of a Christopher Robin character from Winnie the Pooh. And
I
and
think we
he
want to. I
always
think we want
knew
to keep
what
them
part.
like that forever.
Yeah. So, you know, some people were just loved it, you know, it made their evening. And other people would eventually tell him that they had enough of him and he was fine. He would move on. But I never took side with the adults deciding to protect them and move him away. I let
Right.
him encounter life and I respect those other adults knowing that they can take care of themselves and I don't have to patronize them and take care of them by removing my child. They can do it. They can, you know, not remove him, but tell him to go. And, you know, they can tell me, hey, he's not going, but he always was respectful because he was,
Exactly.
yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. I mean, that's really really good. One thing is like how to direct a child to her responsibilities like homework, cleanup, that bedtime, without becoming a tyrant and like taming her spirit. Like how they like bite us when we
Yes.
want to get things like the homework and it's bedtime and they get like
Well, this is the problem. The problem is we think we know what they should do. So we
mm,
boss them around and we say that it's their chores or their homework, but they didn't choose. They don't care if the house is dirty.
right.
Don't care if the dishes are not done. They don't care if there are toys on the floor, and they don't care about homework. So it's not our job to force them to do things they don't want to do. We don't do it to other adults. That's my parameter. Treat children with respect. That means the same way you would treat an adult that you respect. You don't tell the adult, hey, go do the dishes now. It's your turn. You speak in a respectful way. Maybe it is their turn and maybe you say something, I see that you may have forgotten, but the consequence of not doing the dishes is that the dishes are in the sink. The consequence is not punishment. It's not something we enforce, because if we enforce, the children will not cooperate with us. And
Mm,
that's the bottom line, because they see us as their enemy, as the somebody who forces them to not be themselves. So I'm going to tell a story about bedtime because I think that
mm,
will demonstrate. So what do I
awesome.
do instead, Naomi? So how do
Mm,
okay, bedtime, cooperation. In my family, by the way, bedtime was the whole family together. We all went to
right.
bed at the same time. The children said, okay, let's go to bed. And we stumbled after them and then did very energetic ceremony, running and running away from pajama and playing and jumping on daddy and jumping on the bed and then singing and telling jokes. And it was a
Right.
slumber party. And when they were little, we all slept together, so we would do that. And later on, we would have fun before going to bed. But whatever it was, they felt included and part of the decision to go to bed. And so we did it all together. But one father one day came to me and said, children that do go to school, my children didn't go to school, so we didn't have to get up early in the morning, which makes it easier to do it this way.
Okay.
But this family had 3 children, just like me. 2 of them, 2 girls, were already in bed. The father was the one putting them in bed, and he was reading them story. And the third one, a 6-year-old boy, was downstairs in the basement painting, doing art. And dad keeps telling him, it's time to go to bed. You have to go to school tomorrow. Come on, come on. And the child was too busy and just didn't do it. Eventually, and this is, the dad did it the wrong way. So I want to show you the wrong way and then teach you what he learned with me in his session. So he finally went down there and grabbed the child and put him in the bathroom and said, that's it now, get ready for bed. And he closed the bathroom door and told him, you know, when you're ready, come to bed. And he went back to read the stories to the girls. And time goes by, time goes by, time goes by, and the kid is not showing up. So the father goes back to the bathroom area and he starts opening the door, and he looks in and he sees the child laying on his back on the floor and singing on the bathroom floor. And, you know, so he got more angry, and the whole thing ended up 2 hours bedtime, very long, very frustrating, tears, daddy angry, child angry. And what I did with the father is I do this process of questioning our own thinking. So we took it step by step. Like first, he was disrespectful because the child was busy doing art. So if an artist does art, would you interrupt them? Would you feel that that's a respectful thing to do? No matter how important the reason is, school tomorrow, whatever it is, how much longer would he have been? Half an hour at the most.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's say that he made the mistake. So I forgive, you know, we all make mistakes. We're not perfect. So let's say you did the first step and you grabbed the child and put them in the bathroom floor. And I mean, in the bathroom. And then you find that they're not getting ready for bed and they're sinking on the bathroom floor. And I asked the father, I said, wow, what a fantastic child. He was probably extremely upset because you interrupted him from doing his art, but he didn't go back to continue the art. He didn't scream at you. Instead, he calmed himself down. He soothed himself by laying on the floor and singing. How beautiful. Instead of being angry at you, he found another way to heal his strong upset. I'm sure he was very upset because you forced him, you disrespected his body, you picked him up, you put him there. That all was very upsetting, and he found a way to overcome that. Probably saved you some time in lullaby singing time because he was already calming himself down with the singing. So the man asked me, so what would you have done? Should I have joined him singing? And I said, well, that's one idea. Maybe you join him singing and there is forgiveness in that. Maybe he wouldn't have wanted that because maybe he wanted to be alone. So you have to like sense. I probably would have sensed that he needed his alone time with his singing. I would have quietly closed the door. He would have eventually be done singing, get ready for bed and come to bed. And that would not have included any crying, yelling, or upset. Would have spared the whole thing. So that's where you get that cooperation in caring and being real and not being bossy. So when it comes to the chores, I actually do not force children to do chores. When my children's playroom was so full of toys on the floor that you couldn't walk, I would come and start picking up. They always helped me because they thought I would do the wrong thing. I would put it in the wrong place. So it became like every 2 months, mom comes into the room and raids, the playroom and puts everything. And they became over time more and more engaged. Now there are 3 adults whose homes are, clean and nice. They care, and they know to clean because it came from themselves. They did it when they wanted to rather than when somebody was controlling them. So, and I consider their needs, like the child on the bathroom floor had a need to sing. First, he had a need to finish painting, which I would have said, you are really engaged in painting. We do need to
Right.
go to bed. So please, when you're done with this particular painting that you seem very engrossed with, then come to bed. And the child probably would have said, yes, I will. And the
Right.
whole thing would have still taken less time than it took with all the upset.
Exactly. Oh my God, because
And
that's what,
also, I wouldn't do any punishment, scolding, or natural consequences because natural consequences are not natural. If the
yeah,
parent creates them, they're not natural. If the dishes aren't done, the natural consequence is dirty dishes, not now you can't go visit your friends. That's not a natural consequence. And maybe,
oh, okay.
and we had family meetings where we decided about chores, but we waited until the kids were old enough to really feel ownership, like they wanted to, because if they helped us, we got out of the house sooner and gone to the beach, or gone.
Right, like things happen a lot sooner if we all work together
Yes,
and we get out,
yes,
and
exactly. But they need to be in an age, or I give them
right,
responsibilities that they love to do. Like my oldest son loved doing manly things. So instead of asking him to wash dishes, I asked him to chop wood for the fire. We're in a country setting and we have wood. He
right,
loved it. His father taught him to chop wood, and he would bring it in a wheelbarrow and he would chop, and he just loved it. It was a little slower, but who is in a hurry when you have children?
but
So
that's fine. That's something that he loved and he's helping.
exactly. And the other child loved to do the laundry and fold it. So that was a
See?
big deal for him for a while. Then he stopped liking it. So I ask questions. I listen to them. I do my best to show that I love doing it. If I go with joy to do the dishes, I'll do it.
Mhm.
I'll do it. If my husband starts doing the dishes and I say, leave it, I'll do it. I want to do the dishes. Then the children will learn to love it. But if everybody says, no, you do, I don't want to do it, it's not my turn, then they learn, oh, washing dishes is a bad thing. Okay, so they're not ready. If you have to force them to do something, it means it's not coming from them authentically and it's not
Mhm.
real, and you're ruining your relationship with them. If you wait till they want to and you model joy in doing stuff, they generally, at the right time for them, start wanting it. My middle son is a good example. He was a serve me kind of guy. A lot of parents ask me, how long will I be doing everything for this child? And, it's like, make me a sandwich, make me a this, make me a this. And I served him. This was the kind of guy. And I knew he will grow up and serve people with as much generosity as he experienced what we did for him. And then when he became 13, the turning to be a teenager age, the next day after his birthday, I just assumed it's the same kid and he wants his lunch and I'm making him his food. And he looks at me and he says, Mom, what are you doing? Like it's been years. He treated me like I'm crazy to serve him. And I
Mhm.
said, well, I thought you would want me to make your lunch. And he said, I'm 13. I can do my own. And he never let me do anything for him thereafter. Not never. I mean, I made dinners and stuff, but all those many, many services went out the windows. He just made up
Right.
his mind, okay, I've arrived at an age where it's me, and I'm doing it. So they arrive sometimes abruptly, as abrupt as they learn to walk, which sometimes is few days. Birth is abrupt. All of a sudden the baby is ready and it comes out. And they learn all these things on their own and they arrive on their own at talking acquiring language, acquiring a walking, acquiring all kinds of social skills if we engage with them and include them with respect and consider their needs. So if you want to ask me a question that has an example, I'll be happy to respond to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know we're getting time here, but let me, I just did want to ask you, okay, why do some children defy so strongly, refuse everything, and want things to only go their way? There's a lot of kids, you know,
Yes,
they're very strong on that.
there are two reasons. One is we teach them that, and we don't realize that we do.
Mm,
And the other, they're right.
right,
And we need to respect what they want. Okay, so those are two extreme sides, and it depends in different family, different situation. But the way we teach them to feel like they can't handle life unless they get what they want is
right,
when they're babies and toddlers, we give them whatever they want.
right,
And every time they cry, we give them the message that crying is a disaster, that they must get what they want. So we, you know, the baby's crying, we jingle something, here, 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 or here is the boob, or here we're going to go for a walk, or, you know, we just, and I'm not saying not to meet their needs. I'm the first one
right,
to teach attachment parenting. And yeah, breastfeed on demand and on cue, and take care of them and change their diaper and hold them all the time. And yeah, I'm all for that. But
right,
sometimes they have valid reasons to cry. A toddler may have a tantrum because grandma didn't come, or the other child was on the swing first and he has to wait, or somebody took the ball that he wanted to play with. And it's fine to cry. But when we distract them from the crying and say, oh, don't worry, look here, I have something else for you, or have a cake, you know, or we try to give them the message you can't handle not getting what you want.
right.
And you know, I know we're short on time, or I would give a lot more examples, but in
Oh, I know.
that's what we're doing. We keep teaching them, oh, you can't handle it. We stop their crying, we distract them from the pain, and we fix the situation rather than let them have it. So if a child comes out of the playroom or the playground and say, nobody wants to play with me, we go back and tell the other kids to play with him. That
Right.
teaches them, I can't handle not getting what I want. So
Awesome.
even in older kids, when a child comes to me and say, my brothers or my friends won't play with me, I say to them, what would you like to do instead? I teach them to accept reality. Sometimes we don't get what we want, so they're not playing with you. Or if they're really crying and upset, I say, would you like to tell me more about it? I'll play with you, I'll be with you, I'll listen to you. And then I listen to their pain about not being played with the children, and then they release it, and then they say, oh, I don't need to play with you. I want to sit here and read a book. And they're fine. And I've done that. People come to my home for a few days for what's I called family intensive, or in workshops and all kind of situations where parents have learned to do that. And it always works. The child learns, oh, I'm fine without getting what I want. So you validate the feeling, you validate the tantrum, rather than try to stop them and find and fix every situation. But the other side is sometimes um, they're simply right and we're saying no when we should say yes.
That's really good. That's really a good way of looking at it because, you know, we don't
And
realize, you
because
know,
of time, I could give a lot of examples.
no, I know, I know.
But
We believe me, we can go. Don't worry about it. We'll do this again. We can go on forever. Yes, I know. Definitely. I like so much. But this is really, I mean, amazing, like really helpful information. Um, what, Naomi, what would you like the viewers to get from this? What would you like them to get from hearing all this?
well, I can't, I don't have a want about other people.
Right. I know.
That's their business.
Well,
What I'd like to impart is that you would have much more cooperation in life with your children, and peace and love and connection when you're not the boss, but the leader. And a leader is one that enables, that understands what the child needs and makes that possible. It doesn't mean though that they get whatever they want always. If it's not
Right.
available, a banana broke and we don't have more bananas, that's fine. Uh, we have a flat tire, the teenager counted on a ride to go with their friends, and we don't have a car. We don't have a car. That's reality. Validate feeling, don't compensate, don't do stuff like that. But don't cause the suffering of the child. But when the suffering is there, listen, validate, help the healing of the emotions. Read hard. Yeah, and not tell them what to do. And the most important thing is make sure that the child is rooted in themselves, because as long as we praise them in order to make them manipulate them through praise or prizes so they'll do what we want, they're learning to take cues from peers, from media, from outside of them eventually.
Exactly.
Rather than inside. A confident person is one who listens inside. If my child wants to sleep with me, I say he will be more independent if he sleeps with me because he's listening to himself. He has a real need. So I either address the need, maybe there is a fear, maybe he can sleep by himself, but he needs to talk about some anxieties, and maybe he needs to sleep with me still. Maybe he's too little to sleep by themselves because it's not natural. So to be rooted in oneself, to think the child is what we call defiant, is really the child has a healthy will of their own. It's a good thing. I don't even call it defiant. I say if it was an adult, we would say they're assertive. They're not a doormat. Good.
Right. It's like, yeah.
Good. So I respect it. I ask them to tell me more. I ask them what it is they need. And I work hard like a therapist. Like I work, okay, what's going on for them? How can I help them? What I help parents do when they call for private sessions and we talk on Zoom just like that. And they can tell me all the specific situations, and we work together to resolve the specific situations of you know, understanding the child and understanding the parent, because the parent needs, and we have to say yes to ourselves as well. So it's not about being a doormat as a parent and letting the child do whatever they want. It's about living with connection that's respectful with the child, and being a leader, not a controller, not a dominator.
I love that, being a leader, not a controller. I think that's great. I love that. I love that. Awesome. Now, thank you. Thank you so much, Naomi. I know that you are offering the viewers a free gift. Can you just tell us what that free gift?
Actually, I don't think I gave you anything yet. I can, but my whole website is free. It has lots of articles, lots of videos. Almost everything is free. There are some things that cost money, some CDs and some web classes that you get the recording of. And of course, the sessions are not free.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, well, then they can go on your website.
They can go on my website, and and there's just hours and hours and hours of answers to lots and lots of questions and a lot of guidance that is all free. And recently I gave, and if they get themselves on my list of newsletter and follow on Facebook, they will know when I give free classes. I do live streams. Right now, there is a live stream that I did just 2 weeks ago that's very popular, and they can look for it. It's on videos. The videos link on the website.
Well, that would be awesome. That would be great. Thank you so much.
It's almost all questions and answers. I did a 10 minutes introduction, and it's a lot of parents asking everybody's questions. And it's
awesome. That would be great. This was really, really helpful. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and thank you. And you have a great day, okay?
You too.
All right. Thank you, Naomi.